The Galactic Empire's flagship, Imperator Dominus, drifted silently through the void of uncharted space. Its massive hull glinted under the distant light of a dying star, and the hum of the engines filled the bridge with a low, constant vibration. Commander Valric paced slowly, his eyes fixed on the large observation screen. Sensors had picked up something that didn't belong. "Sir," said Lieutenant Marek, his voice tight with tension, "the scanners are picking up a warship, but the readings are impossible." Valric turned sharply. "Impossible how?" he demanded. Marek hesitated, glancing at the complex holographic display. "The energy output, the shield strength, the weapon power, it all exceeds the maximum levels we have recorded in the entire galaxy. We've scanned hundreds of advanced fleets, sir, but nothing matches this." A low murmur spread across the bridge as officers leaned forward, eyes glued to the data. The ship appeared to be small, sleek, almost simple at first glance, yet its raw power was beyond imagination. Commander Valric's hand tightened on the railing. "Run the scan again," he said sharply. "And triple-check every reading. This cannot be human." Marek nodded and began the recalibration. The scanners whirred, lights blinking rapidly, while the data poured in. Every officer held their breath. Seconds stretched into minutes. When the results appeared, the room fell silent. "Same results," Marek whispered. His face was pale. "All systems are beyond human specifications." "Commander, it's a human warship." Valric froze. "Humans? That's impossible. They are weak, primitive. Their technology is centuries behind. How can this be?" The observation screen zoomed in, showing the ship in astonishing detail. Its hull was sleek but reinforced with layers of armor the Empire had never seen. Energy conduits ran along its sides, glowing faintly with a power that seemed alive. Weapons arrays, though compact, pulsed with a terrifying intensity. And the ship moved with fluid grace, almost as if it knew the void itself. Officer Tallis leaned close to Valric. "Sir, sensors confirm it. Everything about this ship is human, yet, it shouldn't be possible. No human fleet has ever reached this level." Valric's mind raced. He had studied humanity, read every report. They were known as resilient survivalists, but hardly as warriors. Deathworlders, weak planets, small fleets, they were a footnote in galactic records. And yet here was a single ship that could challenge an entire squadron of Empire destroyers. The bridge lights dimmed slightly as tension thickened. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Some gripped the railings, some muttered prayers under their breath. The very idea that humans could produce such a warship shook their beliefs. Valric took a deep breath and walked toward the main console. "Prepare a full report," he said. "Send it directly to the High Command. And mark it urgent. I want answers, before this human thing gets any closer." The ship remained silent, almost taunting. Sensors flickered. The readings showed not only incredible firepower but also defensive systems that seemed adaptive, predicting potential attacks before they happened. Every scan challenged what the Empire thought they knew about the human race. Lieutenant Marek spoke again, voice trembling slightly. "Sir, it's not just the power. The ship, it's like it's alive. It moves with intent, like it knows our every action before we even make it." Valric frowned. He felt a chill run down his spine. "Keep scanning. Keep watching. And for now, do nothing. If it attacks first, we may not survive." As the minutes dragged on, the human ship began to drift closer, silent and calm. Its movements were slow, almost deliberate, as if it had noticed the Empire fleet but was not concerned. Valric could feel a growing unease among the officers. They had prepared for threats before, but nothing like this. Finally, Valric spoke, his voice low but firm. "Prepare for all contingencies. Alert the fleet. Humanity may be more than we ever imagined. And if these readings are correct, then we are in grave danger. The bridge fell silent again. Outside the observation window, the human warship glimmered in the cold light of the distant star. It was beautiful, terrifying, and utterly human. And as the Empire scanned it for the third time, Commander Valric realized a chilling truth: everything they thought they knew about humans was a lie. The scan had made no sense, until now. The bridge of the Imperator Dominus was no longer calm. The human warship stayed at a steady distance, silent and unmoving, but its presence felt heavy, like a shadow over every thought. Commander Valric stood near the central console, staring at the hologram of the ship. The numbers still did not change. No error. No glitch. The impossible readings remained solid and real. "Open the historical archives," Valric ordered. "Full access. I want every record on humanity." A junior officer hesitated. "Sir, most human files are marked as low priority." Valric's eyes narrowed. "Not anymore." The archive system came alive, filling the air with floating data panels. Images of human colonies appeared, small cities, rough worlds, unstable atmospheres. Reports described them as stubborn, emotional, and technologically behind. "They were never a threat," one officer said quietly. "That's what we were told." Valric nodded slowly. "Yes. Told." He scrolled deeper. Older files began to surface, files rarely opened. Records from first contact wars. Border conflicts. Failed invasions that were never discussed publicly. A cold silence fell across the bridge. "These reports were classified," Officer Tallis said. "Why were they hidden?" Valric read one entry carefully. His jaw tightened. "Because the Empire lost." The record showed the truth. Every time a stronger empire attacked humanity, the humans adapted. They learned fast. They changed tactics mid-war. They upgraded weapons using captured technology. They survived situations that should have wiped them out. "They didn't win by power," Valric said slowly. "They won by endurance." Another report appeared. A destroyed Empire fleet. "'Cause of loss, human counter-strategy." Another showed a failed blockade. "'Cause, human resourcefulness." "They were never weak," Lieutenant Marek whispered. "They were patient." The bridge felt colder. Valric looked back at the human warship on the screen. "And now, we are seeing the result of centuries of learning." A sudden alert chimed. "Sir," Marek said, tense, "the human ship just ran a full scan on us." Several officers stiffened. "How?" "Our stealth systems are useless," Marek finished. "They saw everything." The silence that followed was worse than panic. The Empire fleet was exposed. Every weapon, every weakness, every formation pattern, now known. Valric clenched his fists. "Any sign of attack?" "No, sir," Tallis replied. "No weapon charge. No aggression." "That worries me more," Valric said. He turned to face his crew. "Humans do not strike without reason. If they are holding back, it means they are confident." Another old file opened by itself, triggered by the ship's AI. It was a human message, dated hundreds of years ago, recovered from a destroyed relay station. "We do not seek war. But if pushed, we will end it." The words felt heavy. Valric suddenly understood the lie. The Empire had labeled humans as weak so others would ignore them. So no one would provoke them too early. So no one would discover what they could truly become. "They hid the truth," Valric said quietly. "Because the truth is terrifying." The human ship shifted slightly, adjusting its position. No weapons moved. No shields flared. It was calm. Controlled. Like a predator that knew it didn't need to rush. Sir, Marek said, voice low, the human vessel is sending a signal request. Valric paused. Open the channel, he said. Audio only. Static filled the bridge for a moment. Then a calm, steady human voice spoke. This is Captain Elias Kane of the United Human Fleet. We detected your scans. We do not consider them an act of hostility. The voice carried no fear. No anger. Only certainty. We are here to observe, the voice continued. What happens next, depends on your choices. The channel closed. No threat. No demand. Just a warning wrapped in politeness. Valric exhaled slowly. His crew waited for orders. For centuries, Valric said, the galaxy believed humans were behind us. He looked once more at the impossible ship. But the truth is, they were preparing. Outside the viewport, the human warship glowed softly, like a silent promise. Or a final mistake. The bridge of the Imperator Dominus was quiet again, but this time, it was not calm. The human message echoed in every officer's mind. What happens next, depends on your choices. Commander Valric did not like that sentence. It was not a threat, yet it felt heavier than any weapon lock. Status, Valric said. Lieutenant Marek swallowed. The human ship is holding position. No weapons active. No shield flare. Power output remains, controlled. Controlled? Valric repeated. Yes, sir. They are producing more energy than our fleet, but they are not using it. That made several officers uncomfortable. In Empire doctrine, power was always shown. Dominance was always loud. Silence meant weakness. But this silence felt deliberate. Valric studied the hologram again. The human ship did not move like a nervous enemy. It did not circle or retreat. It simply existed, steady and confident, as if time itself did not concern it. They know we are afraid, Officer Tallis said quietly. Valric nodded. Yes. And they are letting that fear grow. Another alert sounded. Sir, Marek said, his voice tense, the human ship just ran a predictive analysis. Valric's eyes narrowed. On what? On us, Marek replied. They simulated our next 20 possible actions. A cold chill moved through the bridge. Can they do that? Someone asked. They already did, Marek answered. The display showed ghost images, Empire ships attacking, retreating, forming defensive lines. Every outcome ended the same way. Defeat. Not destruction. Defeat. They are not planning to kill us, Valric realized. They are planning to stop us. Another message request appeared. Valric did not answer immediately. He wanted to understand the enemy first. Or rather, the humans. In old Empire files, humans were described as emotional, impulsive, and aggressive when cornered. But this behavior was the opposite. This was patience. Open the channel, Valric said at last. The human voice returned, calm as before. Commander Valric, Captain Kane said. You are running simulations right now. You are looking for a way to win. Valric stiffened. How do you? We have already seen them, Kane continued. Every version. Every formation. Every strike. Valric said nothing. You lose in all of them, Kane added, not cruelly, not proudly, just honestly. The channel stayed open. We are not here to expand, Kane said. We are not here to conquer. But we will not allow aggression. Valric felt something unfamiliar, hesitation. What do you want? Valric asked. To see who you really are, Kane replied. The Empire, or just another force that mistakes silence for weakness. The channel closed again. No demands. No threats. Only judgment. On the bridge, fear began to shift into something else. Respect. Sir, Talus said carefully, they could have attacked us already. Yes, Valric replied. And they chose not to. That choice terrified him more than any weapon. The human ship moved again, slowly rotating, exposing its broadside. Several officers gasped. They are opening themselves, Marek said. Their core is visible. Valric stared. Why would they do that? Sensors flared. The answer came instantly. They want us to see it, Marek whispered. The scanners struggled to read the exposed section. Energy flows twisted in patterns the Empire had never recorded. The reactor was not just powerful, it was stable. Perfectly balanced. They solved containment, Valric said softly. That's impossible. No, Talus replied. It's human. Valric understood then. Humans did not build bigger weapons. They built better control. They mastered restraint. The most dangerous kind of power. The human ship closed its hull again and returned to its original position. No damage. No escalation. Just proof. Valric turned to his crew. Send a message to the fleet. Weapons stay offline. No aggressive movement. Some officers looked shocked. Sir, one asked. We are the Empire. Valric met his gaze. And for the first time, we are being tested. Outside the viewport, the human ship waited. Not like an enemy. Like a teacher. And Commander Valric realized the truth the galaxy had ignored for too long. Humans did not need to prove their power. They already knew it. The Empire fleet held its position, but tension stretched thin across every ship. Commander Valric could feel it. Fear was no longer hidden. It moved openly through the bridge like a living thing. Officers spoke softly now. No one laughed. No one questioned orders. The human warship remained silent. That silence was the problem. Sir, Lieutenant Marek said carefully, the Outer Fleet Commander is requesting permission to take action. Valric closed his eyes for a brief moment. He already knew what that meant. What kind of action, he asked. A warning strike, Marek replied. A controlled shot. They believe it will force the humans to back down. Valric's eyes snapped open. They are wrong. Before he could respond, a new signal cut through the bridge. An aggressive Empire cruiser, far from the flagship, had broken formation. They are charging weapons. Talus shouted. Stop them. Valric ordered. But it was too late. A single energy beam fired from the cruiser. Not aimed to destroy, just close enough to send a message. The beam passed near the human ship. Nothing happened. For one terrible second, the bridge crew thought the humans had ignored it. Then space itself reacted. The human ship did not fire back. Instead, reality bent. Sensors screamed as gravity shifted around the Empire cruiser. The ship's engines failed instantly. Power vanished. Not exploded. Not burned. Turned off. The cruiser froze in space like a dead machine. What did they do? Someone whispered. Marek stared at the console in disbelief. They didn't attack the ship. They attacked the systems. Valric felt his breath catch. The human warship finally moved. Not fast. Not aggressive. It rotated slightly, and a low-frequency pulse spread outward. Across the Empire fleet, alarms erupted. Weapons went offline. Targeting systems died. Shields collapsed, not destroyed, simply disabled. Every Empire ship was helpless. No explosions. No casualties. Just total control. This is impossible, Talus said. They shut down an entire fleet, without firing a single weapon. Valric understood then. This was not raw power. This was mastery. A message appeared on the screen. This was a warning. The human voice returned, calm as ever. Commander Valric, Captain Kane said, we asked for restraint. One of your ships chose differently. Valric stepped forward. His voice was steady, but his hands were cold. You could have destroyed us, Valric said. Why didn't you? There was a pause. Because destruction teaches nothing, Kane replied. Fear fades. Lessons last. The disabled cruiser drifted silently, crew alive but powerless. We will restore your systems, Kane continued. But understand this, next time, we may not choose education. The channel closed. Slowly, Empire systems came back online. Weapons remained cold. No one moved. Valric looked around the bridge. His officers were shaken. Not because they had been attacked, but because they had been spared. That was mercy, Marek said quietly. Yes, Valric replied. And mercy from something stronger than you, is terrifying. The human ship returned to its original position, as if nothing had happened. No chase. No demand for surrender. No victory signal. Just silence again. Valric straightened his uniform. Transmit to the fleet, he ordered. No further aggression. Any ship that disobeys will answer to me. No one argued. For the first time in his career, Valric felt the weight of true power, not loud, not cruel, but absolute. Humans had crossed every limit. Not to dominate, but to decide. Outside the viewport, the human warship waited patiently. It did not need to prove itself anymore. It already had. The Empire fleet did not attack again. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Empire waited. Commander Valric stood on the bridge of the Imperator Dominus, watching the human warship through the main viewport. It floated in silence, calm and steady, as if the recent event had been nothing more than a lesson already completed. All ships report green status, Lieutenant Marek said. Systems restored. Weapons online, but inactive. Valric nodded. Good. They kept their word. That alone shook him. Across the fleet, captains waited for orders that never came. No advance. No retreat. Just stillness. The human ship finally moved. Its engines glowed softly as it turned away from the Empire fleet. No sudden jump. No dramatic escape. Just a slow, controlled motion toward open space. They're leaving, Talus said. Valric felt a strange mix of relief and loss. Yes. Because they've already said everything they needed to say. Moments later, the human ship vanished into warp. No shockwave. No flare. Just absence. The bridge stayed silent long after. Set course back to Empire space, Valric ordered at last. We need to report this, honestly. The Galactic Council chamber erupted in noise when Valric's report began. That is impossible, one counselor shouted. You were deceived, another claimed. Humans cannot disable an Empire fleet without firing. Valric stood firm. They did. And they chose not to destroy us. The chamber fell quiet. He continued. Their power is not their weapons. It is their control. They could have ended us. Instead, they warned us. A senior counselor leaned forward. Why? Valric met their gaze. Because they don't need conquest. They need respect. The council reviewed sensor data, battle logs, and recorded transmissions. No lies. No exaggeration. The truth was undeniable. Humans were not weak. They were restrained. By the end of the session, a new directive was issued. Human space, do not provoke. Do not test. Do not underestimate. Across the galaxy, the news spread fast. Merchant guilds rerouted trade lanes. Military planners rewrote war doctrines. Young officers studied human encounters with fear and fascination. The phrase, "scan twice," became common advice. On a distant human world, Captain Elias Kane stood in a quiet observation room. Stars drifted past as his ship returned home. Empire fleet has withdrawn, an officer reported. Kane nodded. Good. No pursuit orders, the officer asked. No, Kane said simply. They learned. The officer hesitated. Sir, some believe we should have shown more. To make the point clear. Kane looked out at the stars. Power is loud when it's insecure. Silence is enough when it's absolute. The officer nodded, understanding. Months later, a small alien patrol encountered a human exploration ship near a neutral border. The patrol captain hesitated, remembering the stories. They ran the scan. Then they ran it again. And then, carefully, they opened a peaceful channel. Back in Empire space, Commander Valric watched a new class of human ship pass through a shared corridor, escorted, respected, untouched. He remembered the first scan. The impossible numbers. The fear. Now he understood. Humans were not the strongest because they destroyed. They were the strongest because they could, and chose not to. Valric whispered the lesson he would pass to every new officer under his command. When you see a human warship, do not ask how powerful it is. Ask why it hasn't used that power yet. And across the galaxy, one truth became clear. Humanity did not rule the stars. But the stars watched humanity very carefully.